Welcome to I Accidentally Married a Filipina. My name is Rob, but this is not my story. This is Paul's story. Here it goes. In early 2023, I decided to make my lifelong dream of moving to the Philippines come true. I had been saving for quite some time and I retired early at 55 with a $2,500 pension. I sold my 3-bedroom, 1-bath house in Indiana for $185,000 and kept $105,000 after mortgage payoff and closing fees. I was twice married with no kids and had soured on Western women, so I jumped on a plane to Angeles City to begin my new life. I did not expect to live in Angeles, but I did expect to have some fun for a week or so and then find a remote beach and live my life among the locals and tropical drinks. I drank myself to sleep on the overnight portion of the trip and landed in Clark about 8 p.m. local time. I caught a taxi to Walking Street and got scammed for the first time of my trip by the taxi driver who did not start the meter and took advantage of this Midwestern rube to triple the rate. I was mad, but once my feet hit Walking Street, the lights, the smells, the women, and the action cheered me right up. I went to Philly's sports bar, as seen on YouTube, for a burger and a beer. 3 beers later, I'm hitting on a waitress, and she is smiling as if she just met her favorite movie star. 2 more beers, and I asked her out after her shift, and she politely turned me down, but she said she had a friend that is single and looking for a good man. She contacts her friends, and 2 beers later, her friend arrives, and she is very pretty with her shimmery dyed blonde hair cut into a bob and medium tan skin. She was thin but lightly curvy and about 5 feet 1 inches tall. I asked her name and she said Shane. I thought that was an odd name for a girl, but to me she was so stunningly pretty she could have been named Bill and I would not have cared. We exchanged our WhatsApp numbers and I invited her back to my hotel as I had not checked in yet. She said she would make sure I made it there safe. As we walked approximately 1/2 mile, I almost didn't notice that at some point she had put her hand in my hand and was stroking my arm with her other hand. This put me into a spin because if you would ask me what my perfect woman looks like, it would be Shane. We check in and head to the room. As I fumble with the key card, Shane says she wants to see me tomorrow, but she has to get home before her family starts to worry. I feel a little dejected, but she grabs my face and pulls me in for a really short, really sweet kiss. I say goodbye and promise to call her in the morning. I wake up 15 hours later and wonder if Shane had been all a dream. She was perfect. My thoughts were brought back to reality with my WhatsApp ringing, and it was Shane. She said she was busy now but wanted to meet back at Philly's for dinner and drinks at 8 p.m. I went about my day exploring the SM Mall and lounging by the rooftop pool. I went to Philly's at the appointed time and in walked Shane in a form-fitting white sleeveless crop top and cut-off jean shorts showing her perfectly toned legs. I almost fell out of my stool. Shane came in and hugged me tight. We ordered, and she told me all about her day. As she told me all about her family and her education and her distaste for local men, I kept ordering beers and enjoying this beautiful woman telling her life story. We go back to the hotel, and once again, Shane stops short at the door, gives me a short, sweet kiss, and says she'll see me tomorrow. I was a bit frustrated, but definitely still enamored. This same scenario plays out for the next 4 days, and finally I brashly ask her what her problem is. Don't you like me? She responds, no, I love you. I'm waiting until I marry. I just blurt out, let's just get married then. She giggles and says yes. The next day we went to the proper authorities and get a Senomar and background from the PNP and birth certificates, etc. We did most of this at a place that specialized in Philam marriages. It took a total of 23 days, and we went back and had a courthouse wedding with just us and her mom and 2 sisters. Everyone was very happy for the proceedings, and we all went back to the hotel and partied the night away in the resto bar. It was a great evening and a great party. We all went to our separate rooms, and I stumbled into bed and waited on my perfect bride. Apparently I had too much to drink as I woke up in my shirt and tie with a terrible hangover. Shane was already up, showered and dressed, and brought me some coffee. I couldn't believe I let her down like this. I promised to make it up to her, and she reassured me she would be ready.
My name is Shane. I am 26 years old and my mom calls me a free spirit and calls me her twin. My father was U.S. helicopter pilot and my mother says he good man. He died in crash when I was young and U.S. government send me check each month from his service. It is not much for America but it is enough to care for us. I think this why I look for American man for husband because of my dad. I date some foreign but they always want only my skin not love relationship. I have time so I can wait for right man. My friend works waitress at sports bar and sees a cano and she calls me to meet. He is very guapo and not too old so I agree to date. I move too quick because I have secret I hold back from Paul. Paul good man and I agree to marry too much soon but my secret makes me have rush.
As I got in the shower to try and sober up, my phone kept blowing up. I knew Shane was still in the room, so I blew it off because she was really all I needed. It would not stop, so I answer, and my half-brother is calling to tell me our dad was in a terrible car accident and probably wouldn't make the weekend. I tell Shane the terrible news and she tries to console me, but my emotions got the better of me as my dad was just about the best friend I had in the world. I hastily pack my belongings and grab my new wife and head for the airport. At the airport, I tell Shane how much I love her and I will be back as soon as I make my dad's arrangements. And I leave the $2,000 cash I have on me to take care of herself and file the marriage license. I get back to Indiana and rush to the hospital where my dad and stepbrother are waiting on me. He advises me that Dad looks a mess from being ejected from the car, but he is hanging on. The only words he has spoken has been asking for me. I immediately break down into tears as I enter my dad's room. He looks terrible. I can't believe he's still alive. He doesn't open his eyes, so I tell him I love him and I go for a coffee with my stepbrother. We meet at the hospital every day for 3 days until our father passes away. My stepbrother and I bury our father and wade through his estate. We split everything up evenly. He opted for the house and cars, and I said the $254,000 cash makes more sense for me and my new wife. We say our goodbyes, and I call Shane to recount the events of the past week, and I tell her we never have to worry about money ever, and that a lack of funds will not be something that can harm our marriage. Shane tells me the money is not important to her, that only I matter in her life, and to please take the next plane home to the Philippines so we can begin our lives together. I do so, but in my haste, I didn't realize that I did not get the 24-hour ticket. I got the 40-hour ticket with a 16-hour layover in Japan. What was done was done. I land in Japan and go through customs to a hotel that has tiny rooms with tiny bathrooms. I call Shane to tell her of my mistake. I tell her now that we have money. I can take my credit card and just book another flight leaving Japan sooner. She said, "Do not waste your money. I will be at the airport at the regular time. Be safe. I love you." As I'm about to go to sleep, I call Shane on a video call and she answers in what appears to be a hospital waiting room. She says she is out of breath and can't stay awake. Her two sisters take the phone and ask if there is any way I can send money, as Shane told us you can afford a hospital because they can't. I said, "You'll have to wait until I get there." I didn't sleep a wink. 1 5-hour flight later, I'm landing at Clark and desperately searching for Shane. I spot her mom, who Shane favors in her looks, and I see her 2 college-age sisters. I rush to them shouting for Shane, but they are only crying. "What I didn't know," explains the mom, "is that Shane knew that she had a heart condition that could cause her to expire at any time. The doctors were amazed that Shane made it that long, and that is why she fell in love with me so fast and married even faster. I wanted to die right there. We went and I arranged my second funeral in 30 days. It was all a blur. Every time I saw Shane's mother out of the corner of my eye, my heart skipped a beat because my brain wanted it to be Shane because of their resemblance. I stayed at the family's house for a couple of weeks trying to remember Shane and receiving comfort from the family in the form of food, crying together, and just not being alone. After about 3 weeks, I felt cooped up and went into Angelus for a beer. Of course, I stopped at Philly's, and I began to drink as though I would never see another beer in my life. A very attractive blonde Filipina came up and said, "You look sad." I told her not only was I sad, I was drunk, and I wasn't ready to stop. She asked if she could come in and sit by me. Something about her blonde hair made me say yes. I was super drunk, and she talked me into going to the Love Hotel for a short time. I'm not married anymore, I thought. Why should I continue to suffer? I pay the attendant, and we go to the room. As I fumble with the key card, blonde-haired girl starts to rub my arm, and it floods back memories of my precious Shane. I peel off 3,000 pesos and shove it in her hand, apologize, and head back to my family. I arrive back, and the mother motions her daughters to take off my shoes and socks and rub my feet while the mother gives me a beer. Mom says, "You are among family. We will care for you just as you care for Shane." I appreciated that. The mother sends her daughters off to bed, and she says, "You are our family. We are very sad for our daughter Shane. We want you to remain in our family, so you may choose one of my other daughters." I thought about it as they are both very cute, and I was very drunk, but I told her my heart belongs to Shane. I headed over to Shane's old room, and before I fell asleep, I looked at all of her belongings, ribbons from school, stuffed animals, pictures with her friends around town. This seemed to be the only place where I can find any peace. As the alcohol takes over, I allow it to smoothly drift me off to dreamland, where I always meet Shane, and we hold hands and kiss at the door. This is the best dream ever. But this time we did not stop at the door. Shane motions me into the room. She is wearing her wedding dress, and I cannot believe how lucky I am to have this perfect woman. She comes to me and lays next to me in her childhood bed, and then all of a sudden I am jolted awake as I get a notification on my phone. It provides just enough light to see her mother laying next to me asleep, wearing Shane's wedding dress.